It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to Dart Talk.
How's it going?
Good.
Good to hear.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
My eyes are still glazed over from all the darts I watched
Right.
in the last week. I mean,
Hours and hours.
30, something like that. Some insane. I watched everything.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Welcome, everybody in the chat room around the world. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thank you, Windy City Fabricators. Please turn the heat on for next week. Although we may not need it, actually, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel sorry for anybody in New England. Do you see the temperatures today?
No,
My God.
I did not.
Brutal. Also, thanks to Redwood Darts. A lot to get to. We've got a big announcement we'll get to shortly. We're going to do our picks for Lakeside in the second half of the show.
Okay.
And I'll try to avoid ripping on the BDO any more than I have lately.
See
Did I tell you they banned me?
Good luck. No, you did not.
I got banned from not only their Facebook page for putting up
For
something.
the pictures, something like that.
Well, I put this one up,
Yeah.
which I thought, reflected their organization quite well, right? And then, I put the other one up, and I think this is the one that offended them the most. But not only did they ban me from their Facebook page, I went on as Dart Talk, so they banned Dart Talk.
Okay.
The BDO apparently doesn't like us, which I thought we've been
nobody's
ingratiating.
Nobody's
and-
stepped up to state
No,
their side of the
well, like they would.
Right.
Like they would, But it's nice to know that at least they're hearing us, since they banned me from Twitter as well.
Did they really?
Yeah,
All right.
and I have to consider that a compliment.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I was an organization, bent on, deceiving the darting public at large, I would want to ban somebody who was calling them out on it. And I think my criticism's been fair. I mean, I don't attack anybody personally. I don't say Ollie Croft is a thief and a liar and a senile old man, because he's none of those things. I mean,
Right.
I don't attack these people personally, but apparently they take it personally.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a dart player, what am I all about? I'm all about more opportunities to play.
Exactly.
Why are you banning players? I'm a dart player. You shouldn't ban me. You shouldn't ban anybody.
Yes.
You're going to have an open tournament. It should be open. End of story. You want to have a tournament at an ice rink where your people get perfect attendance and our people have to win like 2 tournaments to get there? You know what? I'm going to call you out on that. If your organization is violating its own bylaws, then yeah, I'm going to complain.
Right.
And if your idea is to turn a deaf ear to complaints, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe that's part of the reason that, you're going down while the PDC goes up.
But they don't find it necessary to defend themselves either.
Well, that's not going to stop me from attacking,
Exactly.
right? I mean, let's face it.
Well, obviously your voice is being heard if they banned you.
I'm not a crusader per se. But I always felt like, players needed to have a voice. Players should be at the table when you have an organization that thinks that the players are all beneath them.
Right.
And it's the organization, like Jerry Krause with the Bulls. Organizations win championships. Well, you got Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I think they had something to do with it.
They kind of help a little
as
bit.
opposed to the guy who washes the uniforms,
Yeah.
who's part of your organization. Right? So I'm always about, the players should have a voice, and the players should have a say in how things are run, and we can make things better because, our perspective as players should be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
Like any other sport. Like the NFL Players Union. They have a say in
They protect their
things.
players.
Yeah. The Major League Baseball. You can't make us play 17 nights in a row.
Right.
And now, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm just like, my brain's fried already trying to figure out what to do in February
Where to
next
go.
year. Because it's too decentralized. I mean, we need to have something, and we're going to get to that because in my, I'll say infinite, but we'll all know I'm exaggerating. In my infinite wisdom,
Yeah.
I created the ultimate honeydew list
For darts?
for the ADO.
Oh.
I created a list for the ADO that if they do this, they will be not only an incredibly successful and beloved organization, but we'll be able to move darts forward. I mean, I'm watching this PDC stuff after like hour 17, right? I'm like, you know what? Here I am sitting here watching this stuff.
Yeah.
Darren got knocked out early, so he's probably back home. So there's no Americans there. There's nothing going on dart-wise in America. I mean, there's a blind draw somewhere you can go to if you want to go to a blind draw. But, I mean, there's really nothing going on.
Yeah.
And here, the entire world is – you got a world championship in Hong Kong in the middle of December. You got the PDC at the end of December. And now, whatever you want to call Lakeside, I mean, it's a big tournament, right, with a lot of good players. I mean, the field is smaller, which I think is silly. But that's how they do it, so what are you going to do?
All right.
I mean, I think if it's a world championship, your champion should be the guy who took on all comers.
Yeah.
I heard James Wade a year or two ago complaining that, the PDC should go to 32. Admittedly, there were a couple of guys in the early rounds that didn't really look like they
Belonged
were
in there at
capable,
all?
at all, of playing like world-class championship-level darts.
Yeah, but how do
hey,
you get experience?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, so they're out in the preliminary round.
Yeah.
So what?
Right.
What do you care? You're still going to have 64 great players, and then once you weed it down to 32, there's not a weak stick in the bundle, right? So I didn't really get James Wade, complaining somehow that you have to play an extra round. He slept through his anyway. Right? He woke up, I think I need to hit something, and he hit it and, pulled his darts and kind of had this weird little smile on his face and didn't even bother shaving. So, whatever. I don't know. But we should talk about, let's do our PDC wrap-up.
All right.
And I want to talk about Van Gerwen because, to be honest, I wasn't that impressed with him before this event. He had won a couple of events. And, most of the events during the year are much shorter format. And the shorter the format, the more chance there is that, a stronger player will lose.
Exactly.
Right?
Sure.
If it's down to
Absolutely.
a coin flip, the stronger player may lose half the time.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on whose coin
It's
you're
like
using.
in
but-
anything.
right.
Right.
So, I'm always been an advocate of longer formats. And my attitude has always been like, look, even here in America, you play somebody best of 3, 501, you haven't proved anything, win or lose.
Yeah.
So what did you just do? And you look
Well,
at the
he won
guys.
more legs than he did.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't get a feeling that you played a match like you do if you play like best of 11 and okay, you blew this, you blew that, you hit this, you hit that, whatever.
Yeah, but can you
at
have,
least you know you played.
Can you have every
Right.
tournament like that best of 11? Or, I mean, like in tennis, they don't have, all their majors and everything are 5 sets in men's, but you have your other
you
tour
have
stops that
you have you have constraints because like Wimbledon or the U.S. Open or the French Open, French Open. 6-hour matches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are over 2 weeks. So obviously, you're going to have a one-day tournament. You can't play best of 13 sets.
Right.
But the PDC Tour, the PDPA events are all best of 11, and they're done in like 4 hours, 5 hours,
Right.
starting with 128 players. You keep it moving.
Yeah.
You're on your board. You're ready to throw. When one match is over, you get your 9-dart warm-up, whatever, and off you run. Chalkers assigned, bada bing, bada boom.
everything goes, yeah.
And it's funny, too, because, there was in Canada last year, Bill Penn from the Dart Zone was live tweeting, which, he was doing it on his phone, which, I was doing it on the computer going nuts, so I don't know how he did it. But there was one bracket that just was really, really slow because you had a couple of, players in there that were throwing from what I heard, like every leg was like 33, 36 darts.
Yeah.
That's twice as long as, somebody throwing 15, 16 darters leg after leg after leg, which is the standard of play that the PDP gets. So, okay, best of 11's out of the question for us, but we could do best of 9 all the way through, no problem. We could do best of 7 early, best of 9, do the semi and the final, best of 11, no problem. You get that event done in 4 hours. The problem is the ADO tournaments they schedule too many events to tie you up for 4 hours.
Right.
Right? So my solution was always, dump one of the events, double the entry fee, and you're fine. So whatever. Anyway.
So you have a list for them, though.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to the honey-do list for the ADO. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. And we do have a one big announcement. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and we'll be back in like 30 seconds. Okay, and we are back. Welcome to Dart Talk again. Sorry about that quick little delay. So you saw the final.
I did.
Between MVG,
yes, and
which
Taylor.
Sounds like a rapper, and
or RG3.
Phil the Power Taylor,
yeah.
Who you picked to win, by the way.
Of course.
He was supposed to be Justin Pipe.
Yes, right.
That didn't work out so well.
I can change my picks as the tournament goes on.
Well, you saw what the show put out.
Yes.
We actually picked Van Gerwen
7-4.
So we got the score right. We just, had a typo on the names there.
Exactly.
So what'd you think of the final?
I thought it was really entertaining. It looked like, Van Gerwen came out early, but Phil never wavered at all. Just took the hits and just eventually, I don't know if it's nerves or what, but it looked like, Phil Taylor was more steady, and Van Gerwen just started, missing it in opportune times. I mean, obviously, throughout that many darts, they're not all going to be great. They both had their moments where they didn't hit things, but, I think Phil was the steadier player, obviously, and it showed. Especially in the late rounds.
Yeah.
When it really started, the pressure starts mounting, and it's getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden, he's got a better chance of winning, and Van Gerwen then started missing more, it seemed.
That ninth set, when it was 4-4, and Taylor broke him to go up 5-4, right. I was calling a taxi for Van Gerwen, and one of the
I didn't honestly think though he was going to lose the next two sets though, because he wasn't playing that badly.
No, he wasn't. He's going to probably have nightmares about 107 outs for some.
But in the early rounds, he kept taking out over 136,
uncanny,
110, whatever it was. I mean, he just kept throwing big darts.
It was. I wonder, and I actually tried to get him. I tried to have a conversation with him, and I couldn't get a hold of him. And I don't know, gonna have to go through his agent or what. He's gonna big time us because
of course,
he doesn't realize how important the show is. But
idea, tell him we're banned from the BDO website.
Yeah, maybe that'll make us more popular.
Exactly.
The thing that struck me, and one of the things I was really curious about was the stamina issue, because you hear about Taylor. Taylor will stand and practice for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. And then you look at that final, and after they've already played for an hour, Phil's just like, no problem. 7 count, 7 count, 7 count, 7 count, 7 count, 7. I mean, it was just,
do you think the end is stamina or the end is nerves when you start,
I think,
or a little bit of both?
I'm not sure that it's nerves after you've played for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can see nerves early, but I think that there's also mental stamina as
That's
well as
true, right.
physical stamina.
Absolutely.
Now, I wanted to talk about. I was talking to a very good dart player a couple of days ago, and I said I noticed something early in the match that Van Gerwen was doing better than Taylor. And he's like, well, what was it? I'm like, well, I want to check the tape and make sure I'm not misspeaking. So I actually went over and I looked on the at the highlight thing 5 times just to make sure that I wouldn't misspeak on this, because
that you knew what you were looking at.
There's a couple of people that think they're Republicans and they're going to they want to parse every word I say and try to do a gotcha, which I have a couple of words for that. But,
sure.
So what did you think of Van Gerwen, from a technical standpoint? I mean, you got a chance to watch him for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I thought he was fluid. I mean, I thought his motion was fluid. It seemed to me, he did the same thing every time, and
yeah, he does.
They have both. They each have a different throw, though.
Yeah,
completely different.
But there are 2 things that I was very impressed with Van Gerwen that I think is pretty simple to emulate for people that listen to us for tips and stuff. Number 1 is, if I don't really like his posture because his shoulders are kind of tilted.
Yeah,
where he's pointing
right
down.
shoulders down.
Yeah, and that strikes me as being kind of bad on your back and on, what is it, your obliques, whatever your side muscles are there. I'm thinking, I think physically it's easier to stand the way Phil stands. Phil's just sort of kind of just standing up with a little bit of a lean from the waist. He's got a much more athletic stance, but what I like is the way he's got everything directly lined up with his shoulder, with his elbow, with his where his head is positioned and stuff. That I don't think he's as tall as me, but it seems to me that he's crouched down as he leans forward to the point where he's throwing up at the triple. I couldn't verify that.
Okay.
And I that struck me as a little bit odd, but yeah, whatever. I mean, the guy's threw a lot of 1080s in this tournament, so I mean, I'm not going to say it's not the thing to do, but his alignment, I was very impressed with. And the other thing I was impressed with was every single time he let go of the dart, he tried to let go of it as close to the board as he could. He had such fantastic extension that, and he really, right at the end, kind of, buggy whips it. And really, you can see him, even though he's fluid, you can see how he's not stretching himself out of position, but he's literally getting his hand as far away
as he possibly can.
And I found that very impressive.
Right.
Now Phil has always looks the same to me, but early in the match there was one thing I noticed Van Gerwen doing that Phil wasn't doing, that Phil usually does. And I think the thing that gives Van Gerwen great consistency. So what I did was one of the guys, one of the great players around here, and we have a lot. Well, not a lot. I mean, we don't even have a lot of good players.
We don't even have a lot of players.
Not in the city. They all live out in the burbs.
Oh,
but somebody say, hey, Steve, you want to get together and practice? I'm sure. So I'm like, I want to try this Van Gerwen thing I noticed and see how it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just playing, we warmed up a little bit and started playing 01. And I think in 9 legs I threw 7 1080s.
Really?
Which is good for me.
Yeah.
Right? I usually tend to miss one. And when I'm playing good, I throw a lot of 1040s, but the 1080s were just going in and going in and going in. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. So here's what I noticed Van Gerwen doing is, and it's very pronounced, when he gets set to throw his first dart, he does not move anything until the third dart is out of his hand.
Okay.
Now, you see a lot of amateurs do this. They'll rock back off the line when they're reloading. You see the guys on TV sometimes, they're unhappy and they're making facial expressions when they miss
shake their
or
head
something,
a little bit,
but their head moves.
Yeah.
This kid stands in there and he is not going to move anything until that third dart is out of his hand.
And then he shows his emotion.
Yeah,
Shakes his head, whatever.
I don't know how long I worked with Jill on that because she would kind of like, go off the line, come in, go off, come in. And I'm like, you're ruining your baseline.
Yeah.
How are you going to adjust when you're resetting on every dart? And when I noticed it early in the first set, and I'm like, man, he's doing that good. And then I looked at Taylor, and Taylor would throw a dart, and there'd be like this little bit of a wobble. And then he'd throw another one, and there'd be this little bit of a wobble. And I'm like, you look at the results, right? Taylor's
Down
off the
2-0,
wire.
right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, Taylor's off the wire, and Van Gerwen's just raining on it.
Yeah.
And the poor guy doesn't have a hat. So it didn't look too good early for Phil.
Right.
Right? He's down 2-0. And not playing bad. He took out a 170. He gets broken and immediately takes out a 136 to break back. I mean, I thought it was a pretty high standard of play from the very beginning. Falls down again. Falls down 4-2.
Right.
Comes right back. He's, he doesn't look confident. It looked to me like he was waiting for all these ton 80s, like last year's final or last year's semi when Lewis went nuts on Wade and just started raining. Not ton 40s, just ton 80 after ton 80, where the groupings are so close together, you could get like 12 darts in that triple. I mean, just one after the other after the other. And I think what Phil said in the interview after that he couldn't crack him, and I think he did. I think he cracked him winning that fifth set.
Right.
Where Van Gerwen is now down a break.
When he's been up the whole match.
Well, he's been up, and then, it gets level, and he gets up again, and then it gets level, and then now he's behind, and it's like, wait a minute.
Right.
And the guy's playing great. He's averaging, middle hundreds.
Plus, there's a difference being down after 9 sets than there is at being down the first.
And that's where the mental stamina comes in, because really it doesn't matter. The dartboard doesn't know if you're up or down.
No.
The dartboard just knows whether you're hitting something.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems to me, and we talked about this last week, these guys that get behind, you just see mentally, they've lost their belief that they're going to win.
True.
Right? And then you look at a guy like John Bowles, and it's like, hey, no problem. Admittedly, he missed some doubles and, couldn't get by Gary Anderson. But his mental makeup when he was behind was much more impressive. Whitlock's too against Webster, but then, not so much.
Right.
Well, and then you contrast that with Barney, right? And, okay, everybody's like talking about the hug. I call it the hug that wasn't.
Okay.
All right.
I actually didn't get to see this.
Well, if anybody didn't see it,
right.
What basically happened is Phil was basically coasting to victory, missed 2 darts at a double, and all of a sudden Van Barneveld woke up and started playing kind of the way you expected him to play, and he started catching up. And at the end of the match, Phil won. Phil was like running around the stage and stuff, hadn't even gone near Barney to shake his hand. I don't know if that's like a little bit of, kind of giving him the needle a little bit.
Right.
Well, these, they're competitors.
Right.
Raymond said some stuff.
Did he?
Said some stuff, yeah. Raymond, I'm not afraid of him. Okay. You insulted him a little bit. A little bit. I think you insulted him a little bit. So, they closed the bar and, went after him with,
Okay.
What is that, Goodfellas? Robert? Anyway.
Oh, yes,
no,
it
anyway,
is, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so they go to, he goes to shake hands, and, Raymond.
After he was done dancing.
Yeah, after he was done, and he congratulated the Chalkers before he congratulated Raymond. But okay, I've seen that before.
Okay.
And, whatever. I mean, I can't imagine a worse feeling than standing on the stage having lost in front of millions of people and then waiting for the handshake and then watching the guy, like, celebrating. That's got to, like,
sting a little bit.
Grist your gears or whatever the phrase is. So, anyway, Van Barneveld, eventually, they're shaking hands, and Van Barneveld did the same thing somebody else did a couple of matches ago where he didn't let go of the hand and tried to give him a hug, and Taylor just basically, like, slapped his hand away and, if you could lip read, told him to F off.
Okay.
And then, kind of got off the stage, and it was ugly. I mean, it was just an ugly thing to see. Rod Harrington's over there,
do they have a history of not liking each other?
No. And Barneveld was tweeting that, hey, me and Phil are fine, and everybody's going nuts for no reason. I mean, it's like, I posted something about how Harrington was like the chief apologist, but basically, my philosophy's always been, if somebody says something within 2 or 3 minutes after a match, especially when they lose, don't judge them by it.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotions going on.
Well, even people that win, and they're so excited that they can't wait to shake your hand so they can go, Facebook that they beat you, which I find annoying, right? But
sure.
Hey, whatever. I mean, congratulations, good luck, whatever. I mean, you don't judge people by what they say, like that. But this
in
was
the heat of the moment.
But this was, when you're talking about the one criticism that you hear about the PDC is it's basically, well, it's Phil against the world, and Lakeside is like, more of the, everyday guys with a chance to win, which doesn't explain why the field's only 32 people, but okay. Phil's the greatest player there is. Why would you not want to see that? Right. Why would you want to see a couple of punters who, you're looking at him saying, well, I could beat that guy if he walked into my bar or something. I mean, I don't really, that's not how I'm wired, but all right, let's take a break here. You're listening to Dart Talk with Steve and Mark, and we'll be back in a minute. Anybody who can guess actually who's playing that harmonica can win something from the show. Although I still haven't nailed.
We don't know what that something is, but you can win something.
Well, because I owe Mason Cornelison, our first official friend of the show, and I found the box under the seat of the car.
Oh, you never mailed it?
No.
Oh, nicely done.
I'm just like I'm such an
nicely done.
Losing it. So you had one question for me?
Yeah, well, just with the talk of Phil Taylor possibly retiring, and some people think it might be good for the sport, and I was just curious if you think the same.
For one, he ain't going to retire. And for two, although there are probably players that would love to see him go, because he's kind of like Tiger Woods. There's a whole generation of people that would have won majors if it wasn't for that guy.
If he wasn't around. Right.
The thing about Taylor is he needs to get knocked off. He needs to get beaten. The last 2 years, he was out early. He lost to Chizzy last year, or Webster. He lost to Webster in top 8 2 years ago, lost to Chizzy in the first round last year, who, by the way, Chizzy, we'll go through the PDC awards. Chizzy was Pro Tour Player of the Year.
Oh, okay.
For the PDPA. Taylor won Most Outstanding Player. Van Gerwen won 3 awards. They had their awards, and we have to do our awards.
Eventually we'll get to those.
Jeez. I mean, time. There's no time for anything anymore.
But do you think it'd be good for the sport?
I think what would be good for the sport, it's kind of like boxing. You want to see the champ get knocked out.
Yeah.
For him to walk away now, what good would that do?
Right.
I mean, everybody knows he's the best ever, but I think it would be good to see somebody just beat him the way he beat Van Gerwen. Yeah. That would be good for the sport, because now you really have a successor. You have a title holder. You have somebody else to gun for. Now, Lewis won the last 2 years, but he didn't beat Taylor.
Right.
And you know,
but you can't really knock him for that.
No,
He didn't
I'm
get
not,
to face him.
Not knocking him at all. I'm just saying that. Think about it though. Had Lewis beat Taylor, Taylor might have quit.
Okay.
He might have said, you know what? I've had my time. I've had my day. It's this guy's day now, and it was great seeing you. And I'll do commentary or something. You know what I mean? I mean, just go retire.
Right.
You know. But I think, you know, he'll be back to defend for sure. You know, they got the Premier League coming. That's going to be they extended it or expanded it to 10 players because they couldn't figure out who to get in there because somebody was going to get left out.
Yeah.
So now they made it now it's 10 people and 2 guys are going to get relegated, which is just going to be like, I don't want to be one of those guys. You know, I don't want to. If Wes Newton or Andy Hamilton if they both end up relegated, they're going to be on suicide watch for the rest of the year because those were the kind of bubble guys.
Yeah.
You know, and the Premier League's going to be great.
Right.
Do you hear something?
Yeah,
ringing?
I do.
That's not okay.
No.
I don't have like tinnitus.
There's a phone
whatever.
in the background that somebody
Awesome.
just left a message on.
Oh well, that's great.
So you're not hearing things, no?
I'm not hearing things.
No.
Let's.
I don't think you should retire either. I figure you might as well come back and
No.
defend your title. And I
No.
agree with you. Somebody
They should be begging him to stay,
Right.
So they can knock him
Because
off and be the man.
You want to beat him. Right.
Absolutely. So yeah, as far as like him not being good for the game, I think it's more compelling to watch him get knocked off
Right.
than to have him walk away and now it's a free for all, like
Like golf when Tiger Woods left.
I was thinking more like a Democratic primary.
Okay.
but, you know, I mean, it's just like all these people and you can't sort them out because Jesse Jackson retired or resigned from Congress on the south side of Chicago, and there's like 15 people trying to get his seat,
right.
and I'm like. It's like the old joke. Like I tried to walk on it to Paul when I was in college.
Yeah.
They were #1 team in the country, but they had one spot open for a walk-on. And it was kind of funny because they asked the coach, well, what's the first thing you do? And he's like, I cut all the guys with black socks.
Okay.
You know, because, I mean, there's guys out there in like old man Bermuda shorts and black socks who are like, hey, I want to be on the team, and they can't play. Right. So anyway, don't get me started.
You got to have a
that.
criteria.
Yeah, that would help. All right, what are we doing next? What do you want to do?
Good question. Oh, why don't we? I thought you wanted to do our picks for the tournament.
Oh, for Lakeside?
For
you
Lakeside.
Want to do the Lakeside preview? Okay, we could do that. Where do you want to start on that? Do you want to do your picks or my picks?
Let's do yours.
Yours were better than mine for this one, pretty much. I mean, I got sucked into the Van Gerwen thing.
Yeah.
You know, and
riding the train.
Well, you know, Taylor wasn't really playing like the Taylor that I'm used to seeing the whole tournament. The first couple of rounds, it was like,
well, not
he's
only
just
that,
waiting to get beat.
Not
I
only
mean,
that,
he
you weren't as
horribly.
impressed with Van Gerwen in the past, and then he, changed your mind by the way he was throwing.
Yeah, but it was a weird tournament because the one match that was really good was Van Gerwen and Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewis had 2 darts at tops to beat him and totally gagged.
Really?
They were almost double fives. One was almost a double 5, and then he put the third dart right on top of it, and I was like, holy cow. And then again, you know, he falls behind, and you could just see in his face, I can't win.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I'm pretty sure you got a 12-darter in you somewhere, man. Pull it out. Come on. What is this? And it's just, I don't know. It's easy to criticize. You know, and Adrian Lewis is
absolutely.
a fantastic player, and I'm sure he'd give me a game if he came to Chicago.
I would think so.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if he showed up, you know, at like the local place where I like to play, he might take a leg off me. I mean, he might.
Maybe.
I mean, I actually might take the first 5 or 6 off him because it's a hard place to play. There's a lot of distractions. He'd be like, how the heck can you play here? And then when he got irritated, I'm pretty sure he'd start, you know, raining 10 darters on me, and it'd be the end of my world. So I have no illusions about that. The Lakeside, Lakeside's kind of easy because there's so much chalk, and there's only 32 players.
Right.
So, I mean, you're looking, I got the seeds here. Stephen Bunting's the #1 seed, supposedly the hottest player on the circuit. What does that mean? The bookies have Scott Waits
As the favorite?
as the betting favorite because
Okay.
he's the biggest name. He's done well when he goes over and plays PDC players, but he hasn't had a very good year. And who knows why? I mean, if you go to Stephen Bunting, if you look at his Twitter account, he's like, I'm a semi-pro player.
Okay.
So the guy's a life.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with semi-pro players, which is kind of what we have in America.
Sure.
You got a lot of guys
Right.
that it's a weekend job or it's a hobby or it's an avocation, but it's not a profession.
Right, exactly.
Right? These PDC guys, the guys at the top of the PDC are full-time dart players.
Yeah.
They spend their they do exhibitions during the week and they travel and they play every single tournament there is. They have managers that set stuff up in advance for them. They have sponsors. I mean, they're professional sportsmen.
Yes.
Saying athletes,
Well, that's
some
a
people don't
stretch.
think golfers are athletes,
Right.
and believe me, golfing 18 holes is more tiring than
Yes.
playing darts for a couple hours, at least for me. So yeah, weights. Martin Adams has won it like 2 or 3 times, and I don't know if that guy spends. He's got a little van. He drives around England. It says Wolfie on the side. That's
Nice.
his nickname, and he gives exhibitions and stuff. And he looks so much like Steve Brown. I just can't like our Steve Brown. That I
Yes.
can't take the guy seriously, even though I do have a set of his darts and they're fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
They, I think I
You just
swapped
can't
them
take
to
him
somebody.
seriously.
I can't take him seriously as far as like this guy can't lose seriously. He's a great player.
Yeah.
All these guys are great players, but how do I know that like Scott Mitchell's the 12 seed and Robbie Green's the 5 seed? I mean, how do I know who's putting more time in preparation? Who do I know doesn't have like
Prior
sick
obligations.
child.
Yeah, right.
or a dead puppy or a car broken down where he can't get to work
Well,
and
you have
now
to do
they're
your research.
pressuring him and but how do you you know what I mean? So yeah, this is like kind of ridiculous. And then
Yeah, but it's still fun to pick them.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at these profiles that the BDO puts on their website, which they have not banned me from.
Oh,
I
nice.
can actually still
Oh.
go on the BDO website and read their things.
Yeah. You just can't comment on them.
No. And to be honest with you, the defending champion is this kid, Christian Kist, who looks a lot like Van Gerwen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Kind of a stocky, bald Dutch guy, right? And he played, I was impressed with the way he played last year. And you guys can watch this. It'll be on Watch ESPN, and you'll have to get BBC feeds off the usual internet sources. It's
gonna be on Watch
It'll be
ESPN?
starting this weekend. Yeah,
Oh.
it'll be on Watch ESPN, which I can't get.
Because you don't have
because-
right. Because you have
Because
DirecTV.
Comcast doesn't. Yeah, because I have DirecTV.
Right.
I couldn't get it off Comcast either, and I was using a Comcast ID from Maine, and it still wouldn't work.
You can't get it here.
No, I couldn't get it here.
Really?
But I mean, look at this. Here's what they say. This is last year's champion
Yeah.
who won it his first time. Having made his Lakeside debut as a qualifier, he played sensationally and emerged as the champion, although he's not seeded, right? In his first attempt, runner-up in this, he also earned points in this, and this, and this, and this. He's a road worker by trade. He supports Ajax, which is a football club, I assume, and enjoys holidaying in Spain.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. That's his bio.
Thanks for the info. Now I know all about this guy.
Right.
See, this is why I think the BDO fails.
Well, how much information do you think they
Nothing.
should put
Hey,
on each
he won
guy?
This, he won this. He won this. He won this. And
I
he
don't.
likes.
Do you really care where he vacations?
He likes? He likes Playboy. And DirecTV and plays Xbox.
Yeah.
Really? That's what you got? They're not interested in promoting, in having stars, because they want the BDO to be the star. And then whoever happens to win this year, well, that's great, but we're still the BDO, and we're what's important.
Okay.
That's always the read I get off anything from these people.
Yeah.
And they're a terrible model. And that's part of my honeydew list for the ADO is like, this is not an organization to emulate in any way, shape, or form for gobs.
For various reasons.
Gobs
Yes.
of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the list is long. So, yeah, looking through this, I have Kist, making like top 8.
Okay.
I like Daryl Fitton, and I don't know why. Because he's up against, the 1 seed, Stephen Bunning.
Oh, of course.
And I wasn't too impressed with Tony O'Shea. He ran out of gas and didn't look at all good losing the Kiss last year. And so he's a 4 seed because he's getting around. So I got a dark horse here. I'm gonna go with Robbie Green.
All right, 5 seed.
I'm gonna go with the 5 seed and the 16 seed and the 3 plays 6. Yeah, I don't know.
So you got the 16 seed upsetting the 1 seed.
Eventually, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm not. All the people are betting on bunting. So, like they say in
Stay
Glengarry,
away.
Glen Ross, go the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then so you can't take weights because everybody's going to have money on him. So I'm looking at
Yeah.
Martin Adams and Robbie Green and Daryl Fitton. One of those guys to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, they'll be in the semis too. And I'll watch this and we'll report on it. But I don't know, just talk about anticlimactic. After what we just saw with the PDC,
Sure.
they're going to put on this second-rate thing, and I'm supposed to get excited.
Well, no, but
It's like the Pro Bowl. You have the Super Bowl, and then you have the
And then
Pro
you have the
Bowl
Pro
with
Bowl.
with like,
Right.
every single starter is like pulling out, and then you get like,
But you don't have to
some
be-
dude. That's
you don't have to
like-
be as excited as you were watching the World Championships. But it's like
Well, it's
not
still darts,
necessarily
and
as
they're good
bad
players.
as it's not
Yeah.
like the Super Bowl to the Pro Bowl. It's more of just like the Super Bowl to I'm excited that the season's starting again, and you're
to
watching
the
regular football
Meineke
games.
Car Care Bowl
Right.
or something. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Beef O'Brady's
there's
Bowl.
just no there's just no whatever. Yeah, there's plenty of odds, but I got to tell you, the odds that you can get online that are coming from the bookmakers are ridiculous because the vigorish is so high.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like you can't really win on anybody. So you're
Well,
much
no,
better
those type-
off
those
like,
type of lines-
having somebody here take your action than
Yeah.
dealing with these guys. I think you'll get a better price.
well,
And we're not odds makers.
I don't even
anyway.
know if we can if there's anybody around to take that action.
If you want, we can put some odds out tomorrow. I mean, I wasn't gonna put odds on this stuff. I mean, it's too hard
Yeah,
to
Well,
really
just
do anything
just the
accurate. I
fact
mean, we
that-
could ballpark
just the
it
fact
and
that
put
you-
something out, but
you picked who you like to win, and
yeah, I like the 16 seed, and again, this is a shorter format, so it's not like
yeah,
you're going to play for an hour. I mean, if the Van
more
Gerwen,
conducive for a lower seed to win.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, and I think some of these top guys like Martin Adams and Scott Waits and Tony O'Shea. I don't know about Tony O'Shea, but like Martin Adams and Scott Waits have way more to lose than these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a guy who's calling himself semi-pro and is just happy to be there. There's a dangerous player.
Yeah.
Some guy that's all excited to play and he's like playing 4 hours a night for 6 weeks leading up to the tournament. That's the guy to bet on. It's just, who is he?
Yeah,
That's the guy I want. And Christian Kiss wins it last year and he's not even seeded.
Yeah.
How is that? How are you doing your seedings? Based on, it's an attendance pool based on, how many tournaments you went to and all this other, is it, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't play that much, how else can you seed it?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, look at what Wimbledon does. Wimbledon sits down and they talk about the players and they're like, well, these are our seeds. And if you don't like it, we don't care.
Well, true.
Right? And it's based on past performance. It's based on how you do on grass. It's based on, what your form has been lately, what your form was earlier. Okay, you're coming off an injury. We're not going to count this tournament or that tournament. Okay, you did good the week before, so you're hot coming in. And they factor all that in,
Yeah.
and they come up with
As
their
opposed to just
seedings.
taking the number one in
Right.
the world and making them the number one seed.
I don't see a problem with that. I don't see why you can't do it that way and be
Sure.
as accurate as you can. It's your tournament, right? It's the BDO,
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
right? I mean, I don't think the only thing that potentially can trap you on that is if they're going to play favorites, right?
True.
Where you got a guy that hasn't done anything all year, but he's one of their boys, so they're going to like make him the 3 seed,
Right.
Is it just to kind of help him get through? I don't even think that's going to help. You know what I mean? I mean, seeding is overrated in a lot
Sure.
of ways. The only thing the PDC was saying is like, you're going to start losing guys like Dennis Ovens. Once he drops so far down that he's got to play Taylor in the round of 32, he may never come back
Yeah.
up, right? I mean, you got guys if you're not going to put the time in that everybody else is putting in, you're going down. And
Of course.
it's the same way here in these like little ADO tournaments. I
Right.
mean, you got a lot of great players, and if they're only playing 2 tournaments a year and they're not, preparing for the tournaments, they're not going to win.
No.
You can't just
Not at
show
all.
up and smile and be like, "Hey, I'm somebody," and win.
Hit trip 20s all day.
No,
In doubles.
as hard as I am on the ADO, the level of play on the road that I've seen has gone up every year for the past 4 years. And I think that's a sign that we have potential,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Because I can't remember. I've tweeted so many things. But the idea, you have all these cable channels, all this stuff. Now they got this thing where you plug it into your USB port and they have all their own channels so you can watch TV on your computer.
Oh, okay. Right.
There are so many places crying for content, right? And I find dart matches, again, I play, they're compelling.
They're compelling.
They're
Sure,
compelling, and they're good entertainment. And it's just a matter of like the Lakeside, I think, gets better ratings than the PDC does, but the PDC is like on pay cable, and the BBC's free over the air.
Yeah.
So it's not really a comparison. The way to compare it is look at the ad dollars you're bringing in. What are you
Right.
selling ads for versus what they're selling ads for and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know what it's like with the satellite in England compared to how it is here, right? We have cable. Who knows what cable channels you get? Did you hear about, like, Current TV?
No.
Al Gore created his own station,
Did you really?
right? Ex-vice president. And is selling it to Al Jazeera.
Is he really? Huh. I did not hear about that.
I was just like, what, are you kidding me? So Time Warner is dropping Current TV from all its cable.
Yeah. All
I
of its
don't know.
affiliates or
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's just sort of like, who's controlling the message here? Between Comcast, which is owned by, is it GE owns Comcast now?
I'm not really sure.
I mean, it's like you got mega corporations controlling all the content. So how do you get darts on ESPN when they're owned by Disney, and Disney doesn't really approve of ordinary-looking people,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Unless they have halos and can grant you 3 wishes and
Yeah.
then go back in the bottle, right? So, I mean, ESPN's a problem. But we can I'm convinced that if you get some people that really know what they're doing and can put the time into it, you could put a package together. Now, maybe we should do this announcement. Let's do a quick break and this is a good segue into a good announcement. So we'll
Right.
be back in a minute.
Our big announcement.
Well, it's our big announcement. A big
A
announcement.
big announcement.
We'll make a big announcement when we come back. Okay, we are back Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo
Are
distributor.
we calling this the fourth quarter? We haven't mentioned any quarters.
I lost
today,
count.
So
We had that one quick one, but I don't
Yeah.
know. What
we'll
are
be
we
on the fourth quarter.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Okay, now
If I had a drum roll, I'd be playing it right now, but
Well-
I don't have one.
here's the thing about this show that I never understand is like eventually whatever we ask for on the show, we get.
We get.
And it's be careful what you wish for, kind of scary.
Well, that's always yeah.
But we like it. We
course.
like getting what we want.
Who doesn't?
Right? Well, I'm saying so now we'll back up a second
Preface
because
this with something.
here I am sitting watching, the PDC
Yeah.
for I don't know
Hours and
30,
hours.
eyes
35
glassed
hours.
over, and getting all
Right.
like
You don't answer your phone. The phone's dead.
No.
You forget to plug it in. Nobody can get a hold of you
pretty much. I like it that way.
unless they know where you're at. Then they can stop by.
Yeah.
But-
Well, that's right you are. So anyway, so I'm sitting there thinking, man, there is no reason on earth that we can't have something like this here.
Right.
Now, I know I'm hard on the ADO, but they're our national organization. Soft Tip is all decentralized, and there's no national Soft Tip association. They're just leagues. That
Yes.
So there's nothing. There's no even like Soft Tip official rankings, right? Everybody does their own thing, and it's like kind of who cares? Everybody knows who the good players are, and
Right.
you want to rank them. I mean, we could start ranking the Soft Tip players, and I don't see why, but because
We
you
could.
can't. How are you going to do it? I mean, honestly, I could come up with a system, but why bother?
Right.
The idea, though, as I'm sitting here jealous, as I usually
That we
am
don't
when
have
people
something
have
like this.
events, right?
Yes.
It's like, why do we not have a national championship? And I mean a true national championship. Like the ADO has a 501 championship, which is closed to people that don't play in one of their regionals, which are, believe me, after a year of trying, not the easiest thing to get together, right? And they have the cricket thing, the cricket championship, which is starting at the end of January at the Vegas Open on
Right.
Friday, which, most of the people that go to the tournament don't even play in the championship. It doesn't pay any money for real. I can think of singles events like Virginia Beach pays way
Way more
more
that you would
to
rather
win
go to.
Virginia Beach than it does to win like this
A national title.
championship that, you should take pride in.
Mm-hmm.
But people would take a lot more pride in it, and they would have a lot more participation if they actually made it into something more than it is, which they don't try to do. Right? The ADO basically doesn't try to increase anything. Right? And we'll get to the ADO. Okay, so we've been crying now for a while. I won a national championship. Well, guess what?
What?
We're going to have one.
All right.
We have an announcement, and let me throw up the logo here. People don't want to really look at my face anyway. So here's the deal: the PDC. Well, okay, hang on. They've renamed this whole PDC North American Order of Merit thing. There is now the North American Championship Tour,
Okay.
which is going to consist of a number of events. And that money list, first, whoever's at the top of the money list gets invited to the World Darts Championship,
right.
that the PDC runs next December. So Darren was at the top of the list this year, so Darren went.
Yeah.
So next year, whoever's at the top of that list will also get invited. But that isn't even like the cool thing, because it's only one spot, it's only one tournament, and it's guaranteed money, and by all means, everybody's going to be gunning for it. But to have a true North American national championship and have it here, I think is
Fantastic.
well, I think it's even more meaningful. So the way it's going to work is they're going to keep track of all the money from all these different events, and if you go to
And they've got the events already mapped out.
they have them all except one mapped out. So the Vegas tournament that we've mentioned before, which is the first weekend in April,
Yeah.
it's going to be, I think, 4,400 to first place, and then correspondingly down. but still great money. The Canadian Open in June, the Kingston Open, Halifax or something. It's in Canadian. In July, there'll be 2 events here in Chicago. In August, they'll have the London, Ontario stop. In September, we'll be in Atlantic City again. And in November, there's going to be 2 North American Championship Tour events in Sacramento, California.
All right.
I believe so. Get some West Coast people coming out. And all of those, plus I believe there's one more that may or may not be in New Orleans. You'll have to go to the NWDS website, and she's they have all the dates up where you can kind of plan them out. It looks to me like a pretty full schedule. You've got almost one a month.
Yeah.
Except for July, there's 2. Right, and they're in back-to-back weeks. One's in
2 in November.
Canada, and then, which is nice. I mean, if you work your vacation right, you can play them both and only burn 1 week of vacation. So I would think, especially for the Canadians, that's got to appeal to them a lot. And they're changing the PDC stops that we had last year had like a Saturday kind of mini tournament with like singles that it paid I don't know, a few $500-600, whatever it was, and then there was a doubles and a mixed and all that, and they're going to lose that on a couple of them and have a second single. So you're going to end up having, I lost count, 10 or 11 events, singles events, where whoever's at the top of the money list will get into
the PDC event.
Into the PDC. Yeah. However, the top 64 on the money list will get invited to the new North American Championship.
Okay.
Which is going to be, as I understand it, $10,000 to first place.
To first place, wow.
Which is, and you don't have to.
But the field's not just limited to that, just that 64, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's that 64.
Well, yeah, you have to qualify to get into a championship, which is fine. There's, they're not banning anybody. They're saying you have to qualify. Right. There's a difference between, like this BDO ban. I just the only logical reason I could see them making this rule is they're afraid that PDC guys that flamed out are going to try to run and play in Lakeside, and God forbid, right? Or something like we're going to make sure if you play in the PDC in December, we're going to ban you for 6 months. So there's no way you're going to be able to qualify for Lakeside. So you're basically going to have to take a year off. Why?
Right.
What is your purpose in life? My purpose is to have events that identify who's the best player, right? So you make open events. If you qualify, then okay, qualify.
So you have these 11 or so tournaments, and the top 64 money list,
right? Are going to in the first, to my knowledge, the first ever national championship or continental championship, North America, right? The first ever continental championship that pays real money to everybody, that you have to qualify and play on the championship tour, which is fair, right?
Right.
I mean, you can't get in the PGA Tour if you don't play.
Exactly.
Right? So no whining about how you couldn't get in because you didn't want to go to any events. You have to go to, I think, a minimum of 2, which is no big deal.
Yeah.
Right? They're spread all over the country, right? People are flying all over the country to play best of 3 501. I don't know why they can't fly all over the country and play long format.
Right? Exactly. And then it's going to be at the beginning of next year. Is the national championship?
The date's not set. It's going to be. My understanding is it may be next February.
Okay.
So about 13, 14 months.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it's cool. What else should we wish for on the show? Because
we'll have to come
up. I could use like. I'll tell you what we need now.
We're wishing for a chat room girl.
Here, okay, well, yeah. Okay, we not only do we need a chat room girl, now that we have a national championship, we need one more thing.
Okay.
This is going to, if everybody would actually work together for 3 weeks and not snipe at each other and worry about getting credit or it was my idea or anything, maybe we could solve this. We need a venue. We need a venue
for the national championship?
For the national championship that is inexpensive, accessible, and has the geography or the architecture where you can stream it.
Right.
Effectively.
They're going to try and stream this one, right?
Well, they're going to try and stream it, but I mean, we don't have a budget to have the swinging boom cameras.
Yeah.
We're not going to come up with $500,000 to put on the kind of production like the PDC
Right.
does. But believe me, I have got this mapped out. You can do this on a shoestring. You don't need that much money to make this happen if you know what you're doing and if you're technical enough. I mean, if you look at what Darts live streams, that's pretty watchable. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like high def or anything, but it's pretty good, and you can follow what's going on, and you can see the players, and that's not that hard to rig up.
Right.
Look what we do on like baling wire and chewing gum.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Okay,
right.
admittedly, you know, we're not okay. Pretty sure you need to do better than us. I mean, let's just say it like that. But it isn't really. You could do this, and you could make a production that on a shoestring budget that would be as compelling and as watchable as what the PDC's putting on.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, much more compelling and much more interesting than what you'll see on the BBC with Lakeside.
Yeah.
American dart players and you know, our Canadian friends, you know, with the poutine and, you know, whatever they eat.
Exactly.
No, there's great players in Canada. And to be
Yeah.
honest, you know, I'm not one of these Americans that's always like, you know, saying Canuck this and Canuck that. I think they're great. All the Canadians I've met are always like great to me. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, okay, one of them did get a jack wagon. Now that I think
But
of
that
it.
had nothing to do with you.
No, that
He's
wasn't
still
personal.
great to you.
No, yeah. Oh no, they've all been great to me. And
A close personal friend could do something, could jackwagon-ish.
Oh,
You know.
are you kidding me?
You know.
No, but it's great. I mean, so here's what you have now. What you have is you're going to have a national championship, right? Now you have a championship tour to qualify for it. So we're now the PGA,
Yeah.
right? And there's substantial dollars at the end of the line for the players. So there's, you know, a financial incentive. But think of how this could grow if everybody makes this successful.
Exactly.
Right? If everybody makes this successful, think of how it would be in 2 years.
Right.
In
Or 5
3
years.
years.
Fi-
If
yeah.
you can put this on the way I have it in my head, where you actually put out a production that is watchable and compelling, don't tell me that there isn't some 25-year-old person at some network that wouldn't look at that and say, you know,
Let's give it a shot.
check this
Yeah.
out. They did this on nothing. What if we gave them $1 million?
Right.
What if we used like really good cameras? What if we brought in a professional crew? As long as they didn't have these jackwagon announcers that ESPN had, I mean, I have no
And then-
doubt that it
then
would
you put
be.
a few advertising dollars behind it, and
Well, the advertising is going to be tricky because you need to find the right kind of sponsorship. And this is a thing that like people need to understand. Anybody, you know, okay, I'm not going to talk about that.
okay.
No, well, the idea here is that your sponsors are partners in your endeavor.
Yes.
It's not just a matter of give me money and I'll run your commercials. They're partners in an endeavor. If you look at what Sky Sports did with the PDC, right? When the PDC broke away from the BDO and they had Sky Sports that says, we want to produce you. We want to produce these shows. Look at how successful they've been. They couldn't have done. Neither of them could have done it without each other.
Right.
So what we need to find are sponsors that are looking to grow, looking for new opportunities, and looking to make a commitment because they believe in what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Who are willing to like say, okay, you know what, the first year may not be that
Right.
great, but
But they're looking at this is going to be 20 plus years
Right.
in the making.
well, I mean, one thing leads to another.
Yeah.
Everybody's crying for content. You'll never convince me that if you did this right, it would be less compelling than Honey Boo Boo,
Right.
or
Exactly.
Duck Dynasty, or some of the other claptrap that people just throw on TV because everybody wants to watch something.
Yeah.
Right? And believe me, if it's done the way I have it in my head, that'd be a huge hit.
Right.
Right? I mean, look at the standards of broadcasting from like 35 years ago to what you have today. Look at the way anchor women dress compared to like Jane Pauley
Yeah.
in the 80s. I mean, it's different now, right? Expectations of your audience are different. They don't want stuffed suits. They don't want like Al Michaels, who's a dinosaur, who's like just tries to talk for 3 hours without offending anybody in corporate. I don't want to hear that, right?
Right.
It's ridiculous. These corporate sports announcers. The reason that everybody says football's a quarterback league is because the people analyzing it are so simplistic that they're like, oh, well, let's just talk about the quarterbacks and we could fill up an hour and, everybody will understand it when, hey, did you notice the left tackle
There's a lot
limping?
more going on.
The
Right.
guy that the revolving door is? You notice that? Notice how every time they
But
pull,
that's not
the
as
guy
compelling either, though.
I find it compelling.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
the general masses don't.
well, no, I mean, I'm very upset with the way these guys are writing about darts online. I mean, they're all bad writers, and if you look at like the step by step kind of, oh well, okay, he missed a double here, he missed a double there. They don't describe the match where you can read it and know what happened, right? The writing about darts is so piss poor that it's like you wouldn't pass a 5th grade essay with the stuff you see online about darts. That's another thing that's got to change, is that we are not covering this as a real sport because we don't have media people that can cover it as a real sport.
Right.
I mean, we try, but I mean, look at us. I mean, you know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah.
We come out once
Right.
a week. Some of this stuff is old. Some of it's new. I can't get results from
You don't
this
have-
tournament
right.
because these people are, whatever. I mean, we don't have an infrastructure set up yet to cover this sport the right way.
Yeah.
And, we don't
We do
have
the best.
cameras
We do the best
everywhere.
with what we can.
Well, yeah.
What we
Well,
can.
I mean, look, this is a process. If your ultimate goal is to make darts a major sport, and it's never going to be football, okay?
Right.
It's never going to be England. But if your idea is to put a permanent presence out there, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
If people see darts on TV, they will start playing darts.
Of course they will.
Right?
Right.
And this is a collective effort where everybody needs to start figuring out how they can add to this. How can you stream the final at Virginia Beach? How can you stream the cricket 501 championship? Is the ADO going to have a camera there? What, are you
I would
kidding
guess
me?
not.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why not. And I don't think we're going to have time to go into the honey-do list, and we'll have to do all this stuff next week because we're already over an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. But
Well, at least we got the people
no.
thinking
But this is
about the honey-do list.
Yeah,
They
and
can
our
think about that for
listeners,
next week.
our listeners need to think about having a national championship and what that really means. You're talking about really putting darts on the map here, and the fact that it's done outside the ADO and outside any other established organizations is irrelevant to me. You have backing from the PDC,
Yes.
right? Who's willing to help us because they're trying to grow the sport in America. Because believe me, the PDC would like nothing better than to have a tour like they have here,
Sure.
where it's on TV every week, right? Pick a channel. Pick a
What?
channel. They're all look at NBC. Well, Versus. What was
Oh, yeah.
Versus before it was Versus? Because now it's NBC Sports, but because Comcast bought
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, even before Versus, it was something else, and they're showing like the Tour de France when Lance Armstrong was winning, and they got viewers. You're watching a guy ride a bicycle in a pack of people where if he doesn't wear yellow, you can't even see him.
Yeah.
And they got a guy talking for 4 hours where all these guys are doing are pedaling.
Yeah.
You got curling on TV. People are just shoving rocks down the ice, and then they're standing there with their brooms talking strategy. And it's compelling. Don't tell me darts can't be
can be.
compelling.
I agree.
It's going to be great. It's
Yeah.
going to be awesome. And I'll tell you, when you have local people, you'll get local media coverage. When you get local media coverage, then you have attention for that entire region. If Robbie Phillips in Charlotte qualifies for the national championship, and we talk to the Charlotte Observer, and we say, hey, look at this guy, and somebody has the presence of mind to send them a 3-page bio, Not that claptrap on the BDO website where he likes Ajax and softcore porn.
Right.
But an actual profile. Here's one of your people. This is where he's from. This is what he's done. This is why he does it.
Sure.
Okay? And this is what he's up against. And this is what he has at the end of the line. That should be on every sports page for every single player that goes to play in this thing. It should be on sports talk radio, ESPN in Chicago. If Ray Carver is going to this thing, ESPN should be interviewing Ray Carver saying, hey, tell us about darts here.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about it. We're idiots because they are, right?
Of course.
Oh, you throw them point first, right? I mean, if you can do this for 2 years and you start educating everybody and it becomes in the...
I believe they have a pinball world championship. Why can't we have a
They
darts?
have one in everything. I mean, come on.
I know.
I mean, you look at what you can do on your own. Like here's a good example: Guinness Book of World Records. What a stodgy, pain in the ass group, right? It was a great idea 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I memorized that book, right? Now there's a website that does it. They have their own world records, and there are people sending videos. Hey, this is how many times I, stacked cups in a minute or something. And it's like totally viral
Okay.
because you don't need them. You don't need the Guinness Book of World Records anymore. All you need is like a video. Here
Yeah.
it is. Check it out. Nobody cares if it's sanctioned by a bunch of
By
70-year-olds
Guinness?
who are sitting around, smoking pipes in like some country club upholstered wood paneling kind of thing, saying, oh, well, we're doing really good, and gee, I wonder if we should sanction this thing, and well, let's talk about it. Who needs that?
Right.
This is America. It's 2013. People need to get their clocks fixed. We can do this. You could totally do this.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm stoked.
No, it should be something to look forward to for sure.
Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. You can email us, darttalk@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. We've got a lot of new followers, so
Good.
hope they're
That's
listening
nice.
to the show. We're at Dart Talk on Twitter. You can find us on TuneIn.com, Stitcher.com, iTunes. You can subscribe to our videos. We put them up on YouTube. We have our own channel, Dart Talk US. If you subscribe, you'll get an email when we put them up there. Where else? Where are we not? We got darttalk.us is our website, and I actually looked at it again.
Oh, did you?
I came close to posting something.
Okay.
So we're going to get that. We're going to get that going real soon, and pretty soon we'll probably start doing the show from there. It'll be easier for people to chat
all
and
right.
stuff. So I mean, that's down the road. I got to figure this stuff out, but I don't know. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
You're going to try to qualify?
Probably not.
What is your problem, man? What is your problem?
Well, it's still the same thing you were talking about earlier. I haven't put the effort or the time into for darts.
There's no time like the present.
Sure. Well, you never know. Things might change.
Hey, look, I mean, it's a dart tournament. Darts is the easiest game to get decent at I've ever seen.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I
you don't
used to
have to,
be
it's
somewhat
not rocket
decent,
science. Every time I go to Murphy's on like a Sunday night and I talk to beginners, literally, in 5 minutes, they're decent players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that hard to do. To get good, yeah.
It's
You
very
got to put the
difficult.
time in.
Right.
Well, I would say very difficult. I mean, anybody can beat anybody. I don't know anybody who's undefeated, including Darren Young,
Right.
who I've beaten on occasion. I mean, anybody can be beaten. Nobody's undefeated. And in America, there isn't really anybody, no offense to, any of the top guns, but nobody's that far ahead of anybody that they can't be beat.
Sure.
Including me. I never put myself up in the top echelon, but I mean, nobody is invincible.
True.
And when you look at something like this, if you're going to be playing a long format 01, nobody's going to get lucky either,
No.
right? I mean, well, I was going to mention Williston, and then I won't. So,
All right.
well, no, I'm a little irritated with Williston because he never calls me, and I told him to. So he said he would, and then he blew me off. Like he's the pretty girl that I'm trying to date. It's not like that, Scott. So
Okay.
I don't know. Fair warning. Let's wrap it up. Oh, okay. So we'll be here Tuesday night.
Yes.
At 7:30.
Back on to Tuesdays.
Which is only a couple of days away. We'll do the Players of the Year. We'll do our honey-do list. I hope you're writing this down. We'll do our Players of the Year, our outstanding players. We'll do our honey-do list for the ADO. We'll do a preview of Philly, of the Ray Chesney.
All right.
Which is generally the beginning of the season.
Yes.
We're going to do anything
Are
else?
you going?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be in Philly. And I'm not going to be wearing any flak jackets, so everybody be kind. I'll be in Vegas at the end of the month for the Vegas Open and the Cricket National Championship, and I'll be in Huntsville, Alabama for Shoot the Moon, which means I won't be in Port City or whatever.
Whatever's going on at the same time.
Let me tell you, February's a mess. I mean, it's just there's too much going on.
Jump right in. Get the year started.
This is where the players are getting killed, though, because there's no central authority setting dates, and it just there's inevitably conflict. And now the dates, you guys need to go to the WDS website and check out the dates so you can start making your plans, because it's already January.
At least 2 of them, and
well, yeah, but you're going to want to play in more than 2.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to have to play in as many as you can. These are now, what you have now are the be-all and end-all of steel tip tournaments in North America. This is what you have. There's more at the end of the line. There's more prestige. There's more money. And now there's a national championship to play for. So when push comes to shove, these are much more important and much more prestigious. And, we'll have to announce our majors too.
Yeah.
But if you only have funds to go to 3 or 4 tournaments a year, now you have to look at these as being the ones to go to, right?
Of course.
So it's a paradigm changer.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
If you want to play in the national championship, then you have to be looking at these.
And again, maybe this is just me and the way I'm wired and the way I'm looking at things. But why play something if you can't play for the title?
Right.
That's why you play the game. You don't play so you can finish in the second division and go home with a smile. You try to win, you do the best you can, and the next year you try to do better.
Exactly.
That's what a sport is. And you got other people trying to do the same thing, and that's where it's compelling and entertaining. You're going to see who's going to end up on top.
Right.
Right? I think it's better than UFC watching 2 guys rolling around on the floor.
Trying to rip their limbs off.
I mean, it's it's good in a college dorm with the girls, but outside of that, I'm just sort of like, wow, really? So, okay, enough of that.
All right.
Are we done?
I think we are done.
Okay, let's wrap it up for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll stay and chat with you for a little while once we stop recording, but other than that, we'll be back Tuesday night, 7:30 Central next week.
Yep, that's the date and time.
Okay, so for Mystery Mark, Steve Penuncialman signing off. Thanks for listening, and everybody take care. We'll talk to you next week.